Happy Thursday. Welcome to the Zendesk Morning Show. As Abraham Lincoln once said, the best way to predict the future is to create it. Unfortunately, uncertainty is all around us and predictability is non-existent. However, what we can control is how we react and respond to the challenge presented before us. One area that has had to adapt and rise to that challenge is our employee support services, whether that be HR, e-learning, or IT. In today's episode, we'll be sharing ideas, best practices, and ways to scale internal support services. To kick off today's session, our HR All-Star Leader for the region, Sarah Manning, will share her experiences of how the Zendesk team are adjusting to increased employee requests. Sarah, welcome. Could you give us a quick snapshot on your role and remit?
Thanks, Pradini. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me. So I am HR Director for our EMEA region. Within the region, we have close to 1,000 employees spread over 9 different countries. And within across Europe, then we have HR people on the ground in 5 of those locations. Right now, though, I'm also a mum of 3 with the simple goal of trying to get through each day with my sanity intact. Simple goals.
True. So what has been the biggest impact to HR support services during COVID-19?
Yeah, it's been hard. We haven't had time, to sit back yet and do a retro on this whole thing because we're still in it. I don't think we just haven't had that time yet, but we've just you just keep going. We're running fast since the outbreak became such a reality. So we're planning, reacting, responding, communicating. No matter what industry you're in, HR teams are those teams that are out at the front. We need to act, we need to mobilize, and we need to do it quickly. We need to be there to support our leaders and our employees at every level. In this crisis, whether that action takes the form of moving everything virtually to remote working, as is the case here in Zendesk, or being in that really difficult position that many organizations are in now of looking at layoffs and just dealing with a volume of questions and concerns from employees about job security, or oftentimes it's going to be a combination of all of those scenarios for different organizations. HR teams are right there at the front. We are right there at the front of it all. So if I think about your question now in terms of the impact, I think it's the absolute imperative of communication, being clear, concise, and transparent in all communications with employees. We learned quickly, though, that as we communicated clearly, as this began and keeping people informed, we communicated a lot. We then realized how responsive we needed to be. So we have our very simple kind of people ups at handle using our Zendesk support tool, and using that product that allows any employee anywhere in the world to just use that one simple email address. So they just email peopleups at, it then routes to the correct team, because if it's a healthcare question, that will go to our benefits team. If it's a hiring question, that will go to our talent acquisition team. And it will also route to the correct team in the correct location for you to answer your question. So all of that kind of background, all of those triggers reduce the amount of triage that's needed by people on the ground, which means people are getting their answers much quicker.
Great. So you mentioned the support tools that you've used. What other tools have you had to think about?
Sure. I think in addition to the support tool, our help center. So our guide help center has been critical, because from our tickets into peopleups at, as well as kind of analytics and, keyword searches from our help center, we're very quickly able to understand the trends and the common questions that people were asking. And this allowed us then in turn to quickly draft straightforward articles to post on our help centers. We also have AnswerBot enabled within our tickets. So many of our employee queries were actually automatically answered through links to those new articles in the auto response. And across, I think I looked at the stats across everything that we've ever posted on our HR Help Center pages. Our COVID-19 resources, which was a particular article that we produced for each country, has been the most viewed article in the past 3 weeks by far. An additional feature that we're looking at now, because people do consume content differently, they learn differently, is looking at videos, and actually not just going with the clean written word, but embedding videos into our articles as well, just to help with, clearer communication and understanding.
So what would you say has been your biggest learning during this time?
For sure, responsiveness. Like, we are living with so much uncertainty right now, and we should not underestimate that the stress that that's putting on our employees. The last thing that we want to add is any delay. Like, there's so much uncertainty that people are just living with. When people are anxious, they can speculate for the worst. So what we can do is play our part in alleviating that by being as responsive and transparent as possible.
So, final question. What advice would you give other HR teams, departments and organisations based on some of what you've learned?
Sure. I think it's, remember, like, we're employees too. Like, we're also going through this within the HR teams, and this is hard. Like, it's hard for us too. So I think to do your best to take care of yourself, take care of your colleagues, the employees you support, the managers and leaders you support need you now more than ever. But you're no good to them if you're exhausted. And that's kind of a simple fact right now. So I guess my advice is make time, practice self-care, look after yourself.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Sarah, for joining us today. And my hat's off to you as well, because not only are you running our HR function across Europe, you're a mother of 3 with the kids at home at the moment, and you've managed to join us today. So thank you very much.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you.
HR processes is one thing that has had to shift. What about e-learning, communications, and training services? Let's hear from our global training leader, Jen, on processes we have implemented at Zendesk.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Cronin and I lead our global leadership and talent development team at Zendesk. What I'd love to do today is share with you how we've approached learning during the coronavirus outbreak. I guess, like a lot of companies, we knew that we needed to support our employees with information and resources on how to work as part of distributed teams. For many people, working from home for an extended period is quite a change. And when you layer in everything that's going on in the world right now and in their personal lives, that's a lot to process and a lot to take in. So for us, being nimble and getting information to employees quickly was key. People don't like uncertainty in uncertain times, so our executive team did a great job of getting short, snappy videos out to people to keep them up to date and informed. We also did our part in providing relevant online learning to help people make the shift. We kept this content online. We provided it either through video, through articles, or through virtual webinars that people could sign up to. And now we're really thinking about the future of learning. We know that we need to build for virtual first. We know that we don't want to compromise the learner experience. And we also know that there is still a place for in-person events in the future, but we need to figure out what all of that looks like. We've also been very fortunate at Zendesk that we have some great tools at our disposal. So, for example, we use Zoom a huge amount for virtual video calls, and we've now started using Zoom for online training and for online webinars. We've been using Zoom for many years, so most people are really familiar with that tool. And what's kind of cool now is that we just have some additional guests, like people's pets and kids and other people that they live with, popping into the background. We also rely on Slack quite heavily for in-the-moment conversations, and that's been great because it allows us to keep connected and to make decisions quickly. And we've also seen a number of grassroots Slack channels spring up as a result of COVID-19. So, for example, we have a number of new work from home channels where people are sharing photos, funny stories, best practice, looking for advice. And they've been great in helping us build a community together where we're learning from one another. And lastly, last year we introduced a new learning experience platform, and this has been huge in terms of helping us scale our learning experiences. We were instantly able to use the LXP, or our learning experience platform, to create learning plans and pathways on remote working and share those with the entire organization. And we can track people that are accessing them, how they're doing, what they're clicking into and what's useful to them, so we can continue to kind of evolve that learning as we go. I guess as I think about the last few weeks, what has been my biggest lesson, or what have I really taken away from how we've approached things? I guess the first thing is that people are anxious and they're distracted right now. So although there is an appetite for learning, they also don't have a huge amount of capacity for learning new things or for more change. So people are looking for familiarity, they're looking for certainty, for simplicity, and for opportunities to connect. Any learning that we create really needs to kind of speak to that. So it needs to be short, snappy, very practical in nature, and things that people can incorporate into their daily routines. We've also tried to provide forums where people can come together to learn from one another and to share best practice and really discuss what's going on in the moment. And I guess as I think about, the type of advice I would like to share with people, first and foremost, it's not to put too much pressure on ourselves. We don't have all of the answers. We're all learning this as we go and we're in it together. My other piece of advice would be to leverage other people in your company or externally who can share best practice and provide guidance around this situation and bring them into the conversation. And lastly, it would be to keep things simple and go back to basics. People aren't looking for anything super sophisticated or complex right now. People are looking for clarity, simplicity, practicality, and easily digestible learning chunks. I hope this has been useful, and thank you for allowing me to spend some time with you today.
Jenny's one of my favourite people at Zendesk. Her calm composure, strength of character, and great ideas always shine through. We have heard what we are doing at Zendesk to support our teams and scale our services. I'd like to introduce you to Alice, who is going to talk briefly about a session she'll be running on how to set up a HR IT instance to support your employees.
Thanks, Perlini. Hey everyone, my name is Alice Egan and I'm a solutions consultant here at Zendesk. So we understand that today more than ever, it's important to be able to move really quickly to support your employees wherever they are. So we've set up this webinar to help you understand how to quickly configure and deploy a Zendesk instance to HR and/or IT teams. So in the webinar, I'm going to be reviewing a Zendesk instance that I have set up for HR and IT teams. And I'm confident that if you follow along my webinar and you set up the things that I have set up, it'll put you at a really good baseline to quickly support your employees and set up any sort of customizations or workflows that are unique to your business or your team's needs. So the one prerequisite for this webinar is that you come along with an end user email address that we can add into the account. That can be an email address that you already have. I prefer to create new email addresses with Gmail because I can also create a Google Chrome persona that I can use to test out the end user experience. But whatever it is, just make sure that you have that and a Zendesk subdomain or instance to go ahead and start setting up. And I look forward to seeing you on the webinar. So with that, I will pass it back to you, Perlini. Thanks.
Thanks, Alice. A valuable session, and I would encourage you or your teams to join the webinar. For more information on today's content, visit the internal use case section on the Zendesk website, where you can learn more about the tools available. You can also learn from companies such as Tesco and OpenTable, who have used Zendesk to help their internal teams gain scale. Also, why not visit our apps marketplace, linking you to over 750 app integrations for asset management, change management, collaboration, and many more to help streamline your operations. Thank you for joining today. Tune in next Tuesday as we cover the importance of omnichannel. Take care, look after yourselves, look after your teams and each other.